Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I'm your host, John Pollock, and we have all the latest news in the world of mixed martial arts. John Ramsey and Robin Black and I will be discussing the announcement of Chris Cyborg's next fight and at what weight she will attempt to fight at. A UFC bantamweight is launching his own promotion, and The Rock announces his retirement. Invicta FC announced on Saturday night that Christian Cyborg Justino will be fighting at the promotion's next show in November and is scheduled to compete at 140 pounds. The move indicates that Cyborg is working to get her weight down to 135 pounds, where she has been promised a UFC title fight if she can make that weight. No opponent has been announced as of yet for Cyborg, who is the current Invicta FC featherweight champion. Former UFC heavyweight Pedro "The Rock" Rizzo has announced his retirement at the age of 41. Rizzo returned to action this past Saturday after a 2-year layoff, defeating Andrew Flores-Smith by TKO and then announcing it would be his final fight. Rizzo was pegged to be a major star, starting with the organization in the UFC in 1997 and unsuccessfully challenging for the heavyweight title 3 times, including twice against Randy Couture in 2001, and would leave the promotion after a win over Rico Rodriguez in 2003. Rizzo retires with a record of 20 wins and 11 losses. And UFC bantamweight Brad Pickett is set to start his own organization, and it will be called Rise of Champions. Pickett was a guest on the MMA Hour last week, explaining that it would largely consist of amateur fights with a few pro fights mixed into the cards and designated for upcoming fighters. The first Rise of Champions card is set for October the 27th in Romford, North London, as Pickett will continue to fight and serve a dual role as a promoter. We are back on Saturday night, September the 26th, with a 1-hour preview show counting down to the UFC's return to Japan. It's happening 7 p.m. Eastern Time, leading up to the main event involving Josh Barnett and Roy Nelson in heavyweight action. Here with John Ramsey and Robin Black, we're coming off a somewhat quiet weekend in mixed martial arts. Invicta had their card in Kansas City, the major fight of the weekend, if you can really call it that, with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Andre Berto, which may go down in history as the weekend where both Floyd Mayweather and Pedro Rizzo retired. Yeah. Do you think we've seen the last of Floyd Mayweather after Saturday?
Again, if you go back and look at history, fighters love fighting, and champions love fighting, it seems, more than everybody else. So I know Floyd Mayweather, he's made so much money, but there's the questions of he's still a young guy. He hasn't taken a whole lot of damage in comparison to some of the other fighters in his division. 6 months, 8 months, a year from now, will he get the itch? Chances are, yeah, because people still want to see this guy get his ass beat.
Yeah, the guy is a brilliant fighter. That is skill 1A, but skill 1B is figuring out how to make even more money as a brilliant fighter. And what's a very simple way? I'm done. I'm over. We're out of here. I got a fight that wasn't the most challenging fight I've ever had, and we tied a record that people think is a big deal, but then I'm done. And then after a little while, you come back. Oh, wait, I'm coming back for one more. I mean, it's just Floyd Mayweather 101 to me, and it's how to make money 101. We are kind of sheep. We do like kind of being told the same stories. We like kind of watching movies over and over again and seeing the same thing. The guy's just doing the right thing.
Yeah, it was funny being in Las Vegas last week, not for the fight, but just seeing everything around the city. I did actually go to the weigh-ins. What was funny, though, despite the weather, I needed no bug spray because there was zero buzz for that fight. None. Like, it was just such a whisper for this guy to go out on, a fight that nobody cared about. And I heard that from numerous people, from media to just all over the place. This was not a fight. They had a real challenging time with ticket sales. They ended up having to close down a bunch of closed circuit viewings of it.
Wow.
I mean, this was a fight that just, the combination of everything, so close after Pacquiao, an opponent no one really cared to see against Mayweather. It's just the perfect storm of disinterest.
Yeah, but you know, some people lost some money on that, except for Floyd Mayweather. You know, Floyd Mayweather never loses money. The guy is going to go down as the great boxer of this generation, and a lot of people argue that. To me, it's brilliant if you can win 30, 40, 49 fights and then never really get hit, and make people leave fights going, wow, that was boring, and then come back and make even more money. I mean, on some level, the reason people hate the guy is because he's smarter than all of us. So, and although, you know, that's debatable because John Ramsey is pretty smart. But I don't know, man. It never ceases to amaze me what people who are capable of kind of playing with us can accomplish.
Let's move on over to a regular discussion. Sure. Well, we will get to Bellator because it somewhat ties in, because this woman is under contract, so Bellator won't take her. That's Chris Cyborg Justino. Right. And this is the first time I can recall where this November Invicta card, the main event will be at the weigh-ins the day before, and I think a very little amount of interest for whoever she fights. It's whether this woman makes 140 pounds, not even that it guarantees the 135-pound title fight, just is she on the road to 135 pounds?
Yeah, that's the main event.
That is the hook.
Yeah,
Can she lose 5 pounds on top of what she typically fights at?
Yeah, then that's what it comes down to, and she's signed. That's her responsibility. She's going to make that weight because if she ever wants a chance to face off with Ronda Rousey, who is the star, she has to do that. Again, I just think the UFC is kind of dropping the ball. We all know that they're lacking in stars. If you just have Cyborg as herself, the 145-pound wrecking machine that she is, on network television, doing what she's done, it's very similar.
Should this fight not be taking place in Australia?
Sure, exactly.
Like, this is a fight that you have said you will give her the fight if she makes 135. Well, why aren't we putting her in front of as many people as possible so she doesn't make the weight? Fine, we took a bad gamble and we wasted a main card spot.
It doesn't matter though. Even if she doesn't make the weight, again, we've seen a lot of fighters miss weight. They step on the scales. It's not going to happen. You can erase that memory by obliterating your opponent, and that's what it comes down to.
People are really interested in this story, and they never seem to get tired of it, and there's a lot of elements to it. One is she can absolutely make that weight. It doesn't matter who you are and what size you are. If somebody said to you, you can make $2 million if you run an extra 60 to 75 minutes a week, and if you eat the equivalent of less per day of a can of tuna and 2 or 3 apples. Every single day, do that for 4 months while training at a high level with a lot of cardiovascular, you're gonna lose 20 pounds. People do it for movies, they do it for all sorts of things. It can be done by anyone. And so she can do it, and she knows it, and anybody who knows anything about weight loss knows it. But then people go, well, then she's gonna lose that advantage because she'll be smaller. You're not supposed to have an advantage. When you fight at 135 pounds, you're supposed to be the best you possible at 135 pounds. We can get this woman healthy and safely to 135 pounds, just like we would if she was going to star in Roadhouse and they said, we'll pay you $2 million, you got to be a muscular 135er. No problem, you can do that in 4 months. She could do it now. You'll lose the advantage, but that's how it works when the other person has all the leverage. It's really not a complex thing. If you just lay it out, the root causes and root explanations, of course she doesn't want to lose the extra weight. She wants to be bigger and stronger than the woman she's fighting. But if you're going to fight at 135 and they don't need you otherwise, you're going to keep having these, and she'll make 140.
Well, it's something that I'm sure we are going to discuss for just ages about Chris Cyborg and her weight, as we now are going to count down to her making half of what she needs to. For John Ramdy and Robin Black, I'm John Pollock. We have more Fight News Now Extra coming up.